Hi there everyone, welcome back to Dandelion Delphi. So today we're going to learn about the case statement. A case statement is another structure. Previously we learned about the if statement, that was also a structure. So the structure for the case statement is you start with case and then a variable and then of, and then we have an end year for the case. This is one of only few examples where we have an end but no begin. Now, what is important is the variable that you use in between the case and the of. In this case, it's I grade. This must be an ordinal data type. Now remember, ordinal data types are either integers or chars. And then we're going to give our case statement some intervals here. So what this means is if the grade is a value from 1 to 7, remember we did the in operator, and inside of the square brackets we also use this interval with the 2 dots. It works the same way. So if a person entered a grade, let's say grade 5, and 5 was stored as an integer, it will fall in this range and it will execute the code that is in between the begin and end year. This interval here has more than one line of code, so therefore we need a begin and an end. And remember to put some comments here to indicate what this end belongs to. So the person entered 5, so in my label I'm going to display primary school, and I'm going to count how many primary school learners I have. If the person now entered grade 10, it will fall in this interval. It will display high school, and I'm counting the number of high school learners. If they entered any value besides a value from 1 to 12, it will go to this else of my case. Now the else is optional. Your case does not always need an else. But if they entered, in this case, an invalid grade, I will display a message, invalid input, and then exit the procedure. So nothing below this code will be executed. Here is an example of using a char between my case and my of. So I don't want my program to be case sensitive, so therefore I'm using uppercase. Remember, uppercase we use on chars, and uppercase, the longer one, is for strings. If you would use uppercase inside of my case here, your program won't run because you're changing the data type to a string, and case statements can only use integers and chars up here. So this is an example of where there were two correct answers for, let's say, a multiple choice question. And if they selected or if they entered A or C, then my output would be correct answer, and I'm counting whether they had a correct answer. And B and D is the incorrect answer, and I'm counting my number of incorrect answers. Any other answer besides A to D will go to my else, and I'm displaying invalid answer and also counting them. When you are using a char data type up here, take note of the little inverted commas around every character. Every character needs its own, else if you put a inverted comma there and there, you're creating a string. So each character needs its own inverted comma, and if I have non-consecutive characters, like for example the A and the C, I put a comma in between as I did with my in operator. So here is your time to practice. Follow the instructions. You will code the first two bullets here. You will code in the button click and then continue in your button summary. You also want to update your reset button. Press pause. I'll show you the memo soon. So the first part of the question asked us to round off the percentage. This is because our percentage was real and we can't practice our case statement with a real variable. So you had to round it off and store it as an integer variable. And here in my case statement, I'm testing against certain ranges. I'm counting my symbol distribution. So a percentage from 80 to 100, I'm going to increase a variable I count A. Remember, using I count A or inc I count A is the same as saying I count A is assigned to I count A plus 1. And therefore, the variable is on both sides of the assignment statement. And here follows my rules. If I'm using ink or I'm using iCount plus 1, I need to initialize these variables. So in your form on Activate, all of these variables that you've used in ink needed to be initialized. Here is form on Activate, so I have initialized all of those variables I used in ink. Now comes the next rule. Remember, when we are using a variable in more than one procedure, so I'm using it in the click as well as in the form Activate procedure, I need to declare these variables as global variables. Here they are all declared as global variables up at the top under private. So here I am in my summary button. I'm just displaying all these counters. Remember, we declared them as global, so my summary button can use them as well, with a little label there to indicate which symbol I'm displaying. And remember the rule that says if I've declared a variable as global, it cannot be redeclared here as local. So if you do that, you're going to lose the values calculated in your button click. I also ask you to update your reset button. Remember the rule that then says everything that we do in form on Activate, we want to copy and paste and we want to place that in reset. So the initialization of all these variables needed to be copied and pasted to the reset button. I hope this helped grade 10s, and please leave some comments if there's anything else you would like to know. And I hope to see you soon.